And let's keep it on it. Out of everyone in the league right now, nobody sparks louder debates, heavier side eyes, and more awkward silence than him. From draft night buzz to summer league minutes, his NBA journey felt tense from the jump. Every conversation felt guarded. If you questioned his game, even respectfully, you were stamped a hater. It wasn't just basketball talk anymore. It became personal. You weren't critiquing skill. You were attacking a kid during peak Bronny hype. The media shield was strong, and the pressure around the topic was even stronger. One of the first real NBA players to get pulled into that storm was Jaylen Brown. During Boston versus LA, Brown was caught courtside saying Bronny isn't a pro and questioning whether he belonged in the league because of LeBron James. That moment shifted the temperature instantly. Not because it was loud, not because it was dramatic, but because it felt honest. Jaylen Brown didn't rant. He didn't disrespect anyone. He didn't throw wild accusations. He said what a lot of players were quietly thinking but didn't want to say on camera. And, I think he was like 5 or 6 years old, and he had did something. He had grabbed a rebound and like drove, coast to coast through the lane through a couple of the other kids and like laid it up and had a little trot back. And I looked over at his mom and I was like, uh-oh, he's special. And that's what made it hit different. He accidentally became the first active NBA player to poke a hole in the narrative. One sentence and the bubble started wobbling. If you were Team LeBron, connected to Clutch, or loyal to the James brand, those comments weren't treated like basketball analysis. They were treated like betrayal. Overnight, Brown was painted as if he crossed some invisible line, public enemy number one for speaking on readiness. That's how sensitive the environment was. And now, yes, a few days later, Brown apologized to Bronny, but read between the lines. That apology felt more like damage control than regret. The actual message didn't flip. The tone just got cleaned up. What are you talking about? I'm like, I've seen this before. Like, I know, I've seen this before. No, not at all. That's not a good pass. It is not a good pass, James. That was telegraphed. It sounded less about correcting facts and more about keeping peace with LeBron, and everybody could see it. Fast forward 2 years, and here's where it gets interesting. Those Summer League comments clearly stuck with LeBron. You could see it in how he carried himself around certain matchups. That tells you something. For all the championships, records, and legacy talk, he doesn't forget when someone challenges the image. It's that same guarded energy we've seen before when stars feel questioned. I don't know if you guys remember way back in 2024 at Summer League when Jaylen Brown was overheard saying, "I don't think Bronny is a pro." This is obviously the time when we were all chatting. And somehow that comes up yesterday in talking to LeBron. The truth hits harder when it's close to home. When what makes this louder now is simple. What Brown said aged into a bigger conversation. At the time, he was the first respected player to publicly question whether Bronny was NBA ready. Media outlets tiptoed around it. Major networks avoided deep breakdowns. Nobody wanted friction with LeBron. The shine wasn't blinding anymore. Analysts started focusing more on production, development, timelines, and actual impact. That shift didn't happen overnight. It built slowly. You guys were able, yeah. But other than that, we've been all right. Were you guys able to get past that? We'll be all right. We'll be all right. Yeah, we'll be all right. I think he went on social media and said something about it. It's all good. But Ronnie got a long way to go. But that's another story. Now, let's be clear about something. The person carrying the most weight in this situation isn't Bronny alone. It's not fair to dump everything on him. If your father is one of the most powerful athletes in sports history and opportunities open faster than usual, are you really saying no? Most people wouldn't. The real pressure sits on the system that fast-tracks narratives and protects brands. That's where the real tension lives. The real pressure didn't start on draft night. It started years earlier. Back in 2018, LeBron was already talking publicly about sharing an NBA court with his son. That's not casual talk. That's a massive expectation hanging in the air. When a global superstar says something like that, it becomes a countdown clock. And countdown clocks create pressure that can break even seasoned pros. Now, compare that to other NBA father-son stories. Take Ron Harper, completely different approach. His sons had to grind for every inch. Ron Harper Jr. stayed in college 4 full years, building his game brick by brick. He went from 7 points per game as a freshman to over 15 as a senior.
Was this a vision you had? I'm not LeBron James. I'm not going to tell my kids what they have to do. Once upon a time, I told them whatever opportunity that you have, you should have a chance to play in the NBA.
Earning all conference recognition along the way. That's development the old school way. No shortcuts, no rush, just work. There was no hype machine pushing a fairy tale, no guaranteed storyline waiting at the finish line, just performance and patience. That kind of path might have helped Bronny more in the long run. Time to sharpen the skills, time to build real confidence without a microscope zoomed in on every possession. But once LeBron publicly locked in the play together in the NBA dream, the timeline shifted into fast forward. And when things move too fast, pieces of development can get skipped. How's Bronny looking in that game? Doing well. Ronnie against V for 3. Shoot it. You want to be known as a competitor. You want to be known as a tough guy. But just shoot it. Defense. Step right in front of it. James all the way. James, be guide. Sorry. Wide open. That's how this situation turned into what many now call the Bronny debate. It wasn't only about talent. It was about timing. It was about expectation. It was about the business side of basketball mixing with family goals.
Robin, and I did not give Bronny anything. Bronny has earned this.
Around 5 points per game, offensive struggles, shooting percentages that didn't scream elite score. That USC team wasn't dominating either. In the Pac-12, he wasn't a breakout centerpiece. That's not disrespect, that's just the box score talking. A slower climb like Ron Harper Jr.'s route might have built something stronger long-term. Stay in school, add strength, sharpen the handle, smooth out the jumper, let production rise, season by season. That steady growth creates belief that hype can't manufacture. For added perspective, look at Keon Anthony, son of Carmelo Anthony. At Syracuse Orange men's basketball, he had a solid freshman run in the ACC. Not labeled a superstar, not rushed into anything, just steady development at the right pace. There's visible progression there. There's space to improve without a national microscope attached to every game. Heard about grumbling about at times his outsized ego or clutch sports, the agency that represents him, their control over the organization or seeking to exert control. When you stack those timelines side by side, the contrast gets louder. As of 2026, scouts aren't lining up calling Bronny a no-brainer NBA-ready prospect, that he wasn't grateful enough that the team didn't, when the team drafted Bronny James in 2024. That doesn't mean he can't grow, but it shows why their earlier rush raised eyebrows. Hindsight makes everything clear. And then another layer dropped into the mix. When Jeannie Buss spoke during that ESPN segment, the tone felt telling. It sounded less like pure basketball merit and more like making sure LeBron felt supported. That clip didn't calm the debate, it intensified it. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't just about development, it was about influence. Then came opening night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Game 1, bright lights, national TV everywhere. And there it was, a 55th pick getting real first-half minutes. Now ask yourself honestly, was that strictly rotation logic, or was it about the moment? The cameras, the historic father and son frame locked in for the highlight reels. That image exploded online instantly. Cameras flashing, social feeds going wild, headlines moving fast. It was cinematic, no doubt, but at the same time, a lot of fans started raising eyebrows. Some felt it leaned more towards storyline than straight competition. For them, it looked theatrical, like branding met basketball in real time. And this is where the debate refuses to die. Early on, if you questioned any of it, you got labeled bitter or clueless. The media messaging was locked in tight. Bronny earned it. He belonged. Stop reaching. Even Stephen A. Smith publicly stood strong behind that stance. But time has a funny way of clearing smoke. As the season unfolded, more context started surfacing. More honest conversations slipped out, and the encore production never fully synced with the level of hype that surrounded it. Slowly, the same voices that once shut down all criticism got quieter. The energy shifted. Fans who kept it honest from day one didn't forget what they saw. They noticed the difference between long-term development and fast-tracked opportunity. And now, looking back, that gap doesn't look smaller. It looks wider.
The wildest layer of the LeBron-Bronny saga isn't just about box scores or minutes played. It's about the protection